dear friend of the Good Days with us. Ronne Rock has shared on the Summer in the Psalm series for us, and she is back talking about her book. And so, Ronne, tell us just a little bit about yourself, life in Austin, and what makes you smile, what you've been thinking about, just so we can all get to know you even better.
Oh my gosh, I could probably spend hours on what makes me smile, but start with, yes, I live actually just outside of Austin. I talk about this because it's like a family-friendly donut that is all around the city of Austin. And I feel like I live in that donut. So a lot of suburbs. And so we have lived here for, gosh, a good long time. I'm Ronne. I am also called Gigi by two incredible grandkids. But my real name is Veronica. My mom's favorite actress was a woman named Veronica Lake. And so she had these dreams of me having, like, the long blonde hair that went down over one eye and all that kind of stuff. I was a little bit too clumsy to do that. But I had been Ronne since I think middle school, and it stuck. And then when I met and married the good man, Brad Rock, then it was stuck for good. Because then all of a sudden I became Ronne Rock, which sounds like a radio name. But I love it. I work for a global organization called Orphan Outreach, and we work in 8 countries around the world, caring for orphaned and vulnerable kids and families, and doing what we can to help equip them to have really fulfilling, meaningful, Christ-filled lives in their own communities. That's what we want, those kids to change the world right where they live. And so we do what we can to come alongside them. We work with nationals, though. We don't think that we in the United States have all the answers. So we make sure that we partner with folks that are in those communities to make sure those kids are cared for. I also am a writer and an author, which still feels kind of strange even after all these years. I've published 3 different devotionals, self-published, and then One Woman Can Change the World that we're going to talk about was published, oh my goodness, back in the height of pandemical times and right after George Floyd was murdered and in the midst of everything that was going on with the 2020 presidential elections. I thought, you know what, if you ever make a list of these are the things that I want to have happen when I put a book into the world, do not add those things to your list. I promise you. It's been challenging, but the stories in the book have actually inspired me to keep walking the road of faith, because the women in the book remind me that it's not about all the things that are happening outside, but it's what is happening right there in that space that I've been given. Mm-hmm. I'm also in Hope Writers, which is a writing community, and lead guided hope circles. So I get to lead cohorts where we talk about everything from how to keep your joy in the midst of writing to how to have a sustainable writing life when your life may feel like it's all upside down and sideways. And I love to mentor writers and to just talk about the writing life and what it feels like and how to balance it all. And you really want to write a book and all of those things. So that's me. My favorite pastimes are spending time at the table with people. And that is what makes me smile, honestly, is good conversation, maybe a cup of something lovely or a really good meal, and just getting to know the stories of people. And I love to be a part of the story of letting somebody be seen. And so there you go.
No, it's beautiful. And I think that's what draws me to writing too, is sharing stories, and realizing that Jesus, it was the chief storyteller.
Incredible storyteller. Yeah.
And we get to be a part of that. He's writing stories in each of our lives. And so it's just powerful. And the gift that you have with words. I mean, I was telling you before we even pressed record that, every word I can just tell it comes from the heart, and it's powerful. And we're just so blessed by you. And in your book, One Woman Can Change the World, you write that the trouble with women is us. Can you explain what you mean by that?
I sure can. But I'll preface this by saying that the book is written. I live in the United States, grew up in suburbia. And so my audience, I'm speaking to women here in the United States or in countries where we have a lot of access. And this is not demeaning. I know that patriarchy and matriarchy and oppression, marginalization are real, true issues. So we're not talking about those issues. What we're going to talk about, though, is how we treat and perceive ourselves. And what I find in the United States is that we can be our biggest enemy as women because of the way that we compare ourselves to each other, the way we view ourselves when we look in the mirror, the way we define what success looks like. In the US, we are really, really great in particular about defining success by size. We even do it in the church. We talk about the fastest growing or how many baptisms we get. And we love to talk about bigger, better, brighter, bolder as the things that make us successful. As a writer, we are told that we have to build our platform, and the more people that follow us somehow translates into the more effective the words can be, or the more effective our impact can be. And so what we do is so often is that we begin judging ourselves and judging others based upon fallacies of what really defines the beauty of womanhood. We infight about the role of women still to this day. We infight about what a woman's place, should a woman's place be in a home, caring for her kids. That's what, it's hearth and home, and that makes a woman really successful. And then you got on the other side, it's no, burn the patriarchy. Women need to be the leaders in everything. And you're like, wait, neither one of those things feels and sounds like Jesus.
Right.
Both sound harsh and judgmental. But we, as women, so often treat ourselves that way. And then we define ourselves by that. And then we define ourselves as failures.
Mm-hmm.
So often that I'm not doing enough. I don't look good enough. My body isn't shaped a correct way. I don't have an appropriate talent. I'm too young, too old, not living in the right community, not having access to the creature comforts that somebody else may have, not having the connections that I need to have. And so we need to call ourselves failures and say that we have absolutely no impact or have no ability to really have an impact, and never give ourselves a chance to be able to thrive in the way that God designed us, and designed us from Genesis on.
Right.
Which really, it is an incredible thing. We as women it is it's breathtaking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and it's so easy. It's, as women, we fall into this. It's also just a human thing to fall into this trap of comparison. And, after reading Proverbs 31, this was a few years ago, and I had a friend who read it with me, and the end of it, she just jokingly was kind of like, I'm nothing like that woman. Like, the Proverbs 31 woman is the ultimate businesswoman, the ultimate homemaker, everything. And it made me think of a friend that I used to teach with, and she was a new mom. And she said, I feel like either I'm killing it as a mom and a wife, and I'm not doing everything I want to do in my classroom, or I'm killing it in my classroom, but I'm not doing everything I want to do as a mom and a wife. And so I'm curious to learn from your perspective. Who do you think that Proverbs 31 woman was, and why?
Oh, yeah. And I'm either like slaying it all day or splayed, just splayed on the ground, because I have totally pushed over my large feet. As I started to look at the Proverbs 31 woman, because I was in that same thing and what we give Proverbs 31, it's like, Candace, here's your wedding gift. All beautiful, calligraphied, hang it on the wall, and then have to stare at it. Or, oh, you're getting ready to graduate from high school or college. You're beautiful. This is the kind of woman you need to be. And if we take it and we define it by this lit checklist, of what makes an incredible woman, We will all fail. All of us fail. But as I started to look at Proverbs 31 in its entirety, because we only look at that last section of scripture and somehow make a whole thing out of it.
Right.
Look at the entire chapter, the entire section. It is actually written by a man, not a woman. It is written by a man that they think might have been Solomon, using a pet name or familiar name. And if that's the case, it says that his mama taught him these things. And so she taught him everything that's in that chapter, not just let's talk about this woman, but she also was talking about what makes a good leader. How do you treat people? What makes a strong kingdom? And he's talking about his mama. And if it was Solomon, that means his mama was Bathsheba. So a woman, she had been a wife, she had been violated sexually by a king, right? It wasn't that she just walked over and said, "Hey, David, what's up?" He found her, he pursued her, and he was the king, so he had rule. So she had been violated. A lot had happened in her life, and yet she had risen to this beautiful place of power in the midst of oppression, in the midst of exploitation and everything. She had still risen. So here's Bathsheba telling her son, "Let me tell you, son, let me tell you what a good leader looks like." She starts with a leader. It's not like she says, "Okay, now we're going to switch gears and let's make a checklist about that woman you're going to meet someday." If you read the whole thing in its entirety, what you see is she starts likening leadership, which is interesting because wisdom is also likened to a woman. All of these beautiful attributes are likened to women. She then shifts and starts talking about leadership through the lens of a woman. So if you look at it with that perspective, all of a sudden it changes the voice of those scriptures, not from here are all the things you better do, Candace. Better shape up, woman. Get up before dawn, go to bed after dark. Get it up. Oh, and if you're not weaving the on which you're going to make your sheets, then give it up.
Right.
All of a sudden, we are seeing this woman who attends to her day well. She begins her day before the day starts and rightly setting her heart and her mind. She cares about those around her. She is not trying to change the world globally, but she does see the sphere of influence that she has, and she's caring for them. She is doing her best to be a steward of what she has been given, right? So when things are going well, great. If things are not going well, she's not caught off guard because she knows that things are eventually not going to go well. She is creative. She's using the creative juices that God gave her. She is. So if you look at that, it's like, oh, it's not about these rules. It's me using the way God wired me or crafted me or designed me.
Yes. And where he's placed me.
And where he has placed me. He's not placed us all in a city center to go be entrepreneurs.
Right.
But he has placed us in a variety of, he has placed us in time. He has placed us geographically. He has placed us sociographically. He's placed us in all these things. And I say in the book over and over and over again, and I have folks that will go, I don't like that second statement. I say, the women in this book have reminded me to be resolute, to stay small, and to fill the space I've been given. Again, if you look, and I talk about small, and small does not mean inconsequential or insignificant. It means instead of trying to do it all, I'm focusing on this, what can be held in my hand.